What's up, Dragon Brood? It's that time again. We're talking about Innistad Midnight Hunt. It is upon us, or at least almost, previews are at least. Anyway, they started yesterday, but I'm going to do of today and yesterday's previews, and then we'll try to keep up with it the rest of the season. I don't know if we're going to have a long 2-week season or what's going on, but I'll do what I can to keep y'all updated on the cards. And remember going forward that any of these are just my opinions and how I plan to use the cards. That doesn't mean anything as far as being the definitive way to use a card or anything else. This is just speculation, especially early on in preview season. Take everything that either I or any other creator says with a grain of salt, because we've not seen the rest of the set. We've seen less than 10% of the set previewed at this point, so we literally don't know what else is coming. And our opinion of a thing today could be drastically changed by something that ends up getting previewed down the road. So just keep that in mind. But that being said, let's go get right into the previews today. All right, now here we are with Light Up the Night. It deals X damage, so it's X and 1 red. Deals X damage plus 1 damage instead if the target is a creature or player. So basically, if you hit your opponent, it's just X. If you hit a creature or a player, it's X plus 1. And then it has a flashback of 4 red, well, 4 mana, 3 colorless and a red. And then you can remove X counters from among planeswalkers you control to, I guess, deal X damage, because that's what X is. So this is a weird one. This is kind of like maybe the burn spell that's just a decent burn spell. Like if you're looking for a fireball, it's cool. But at the same time, if you need one to be played in a Super Friends type deck, maybe this is the answer. All right, we have Sigarda, Champion of Light, 1 colorless, 1 green, 2 white, 4/4, legendary creature, angel, flying, trample, humans you control get +1/+1. So many things on this for 4 mana. And then it has Coven, which Coven looks like it's showing up on several cards here. So it's just like, and they're calling it a power. So, I mean, I guess there'll be other words that are also count as powers. But basically, whenever Sigarda attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a human card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. Cool that this doesn't directly come into play, or we're going to be doing that whole Winota thing all over again. But this is actually pretty sweet that it just puts it in our hand. But it's a 4/4 flyer. It pumps all your other humans. It has flying. It has trample. It's got all kinds of things going for it. So if you needed that upper level card to play in your creature deck, your Selesnya deck, like this is actually pretty reasonable. It doesn't necessarily have to be huge on the human component as far as like a buff to go wide, but it would benefit you obviously to have more humans in the deck. But yeah, cool card. I actually really think it's neat and cool to see that some of the old characters you're aware of, like Sigarda, are back. So this one is Secrets of the Key. 1 blue, instant, investigate. If it's cast from your graveyard, you investigate twice instead. Investigate lets you make a token you can sacrifice to draw cards. It's actually pretty cool. But generally speaking, this is interesting because it tells you to check out the web story for more info. And that's the thing that if you're a Vorthos player, should be kind of sweet, right? That they're actually encouraging people to go get into the story a little bit more. And I don't think I've ever seen this on a card or Magic product. So kind of cool. This is legit. I mean, this says it came from the Magic Twitter thing or Twitch thing. So it's possible that I just don't know if this is going to appear on the physical card like that. But I kind of hope it does. Even though I'm not a big story person, I think it's very cool that they are encouraging that, both for the players who are interested, but also for the employees that work on it as well. All right, Jadar, Ghoul Caller of Nephalia, 1 colorless, 1 black, 1/1, legendary creature, human wizard. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. It can't block when it says it can't block when it attacks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. So Decayed is just kind of interesting. I guess it's a new keyword that not going to be able to block, and after you attack, it dies at the end of turn. So kind of a cool thing. This is cool because it's just free value, makes a creature every turn at the very least. It's also a human wizard, which means it fits in a couple different deck types, namely party decks, which could be interesting because having more bodies is never a bad thing. Overall, it's a solid card. I'm sure it'll have a place, especially if you have something that needs you to sacrifice zombies or whatever else. So this is one to probably keep an eye on during the rest of preview season. And I guess the community has already agreed on the 5 of these being called slow lands, and that's fine. Basically, the longer the game goes, the better these are. You don't want these early. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. So turn 3 on, this comes in untapped, and then has no real drawback other than that. Actually makes them a little bit better than the fast lands in the sense that you don't, I mean, really outside of turn 2, you're not going to have the condition met anymore. So this is actually pretty cool. I think these are neat. People definitely play these. Not much else to say about them. Elvatic Inversion, 1 blue, 1 red, instant. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for that copy. Well, we have a lot of copy spells in Standard already, so this isn't particularly new. We've seen a few of them floating around Standard 2022 with the red-blue like mill deck that plays the 8 copies of the copy spells. This is another one you can include. It's actually fine. The flashback's actually pretty sweet. Also interesting that if you have a ton of mana really late, you could pay 2, then flashback for 3, which copies this twice. Then you could actually play your other spell and get a 3rd copy. Not necessarily sure that's really efficient, but it's a thing you could do. But realistically, you just play something after it and copy it, just like all the other ones. It's just neat that it has flashback. You know, the other fun thing about doing these previews like this is I'm giving you my literal first impression because most of these cards I haven't looked at until I read them to you, like this one. Serith, the Viper's Fang, 2 colorless, green, legendary creature, human warlock. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. Other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. 1 colorless and tap it. Untap another target creature or land you control. This card has a lot going on with it. So tapped creatures have Death Touch, untapped ones have Hexproof, and you can untap another target creature. You know, first thought is, okay, do you want to play this with something like Finn, where you're trying to give everything Death Touch that's attacking, so you don't have to play all the junky bad Death Touch creatures? Maybe. Does this just go into a regular creature deck? You know, something with tokens or whatnot, because then your opponent's not really incentivized to block, but then they can't just take all the damage. But then you could also untap something and give it, like, there's so many things there. This is a cool card. I don't know if it really has a home. I think I like the design of it and the things it allows to happen. It can really be a wide, just awesome way to break open stalemates, you know, if you have this type of card, because now your opponent can't block without losing all their stuff. So, like, this is pretty interesting. This is one I will probably experiment with to build a deck around. But I don't expect it's the build around card. It's probably really just going to be a good assist to the rest of the deck. Likely going to come down to if maybe you have something to give bonuses to stuff with either of those abilities. And as usual, there are a fair amount of split cards. We're getting or not split cards, but DFCs. And the double face cards are actually going to be both werewolves and non-werewolves. So that's going to make things a little bit interesting because some stuff is going to be changing with the day-night mechanic. Some are just going to be played on whatever side. So this is one that's not a werewolf. So you have Doll Stitcher. It's 2 colorless and a blue. Creature, human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you may transform Doll Stitcher. So this is a 2/3. It's not real big. You want to cast a couple of spells, allow you to make some zombies. You don't necessarily want to get rid of them. Though you could attack with them each turn and let them die if you wanted to. But the other option is you let them sit there, and then you get to flip this to the backside, which is the Toy Factory. It's an artifact. Creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may transform Toy Factory. So that's kind of interesting. So you can transform it back and forth. Well, not really sure how I feel about that. I think this is like almost a build around type card, because you could then have 3 zombies or 4 zombies or however many. You can flip to the Toy Factory, then nothing loses abilities or anything. You have 3/3s, so you can swing with them at that point. So interesting, weird, but interesting. All right, this one is Brutal Cathar, 2 colorless and a white for a 2/2. When this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Brutal Cathar, exile target creature and opponent controls until this creature leaves the battlefield. So when this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Brutal Cathar, you get to exile a creature. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then Daybound is if a player casts no spells during their own turn, it becomes night. Once it becomes night, you flip to the backside, and that's Moonrage Brute. And first strike, ward, pay 3 life. So that's pretty cool. And 3/3. So it just gets bigger. And it's nightbound. But at the same time, until that card leaves play, you don't necessarily want it to die because you'll end up giving up your cards you took. But at the same time, if you have a way to flip from day to night, this card could actually end up taking multiple things. So you could take Brutal Cathar, next turn it may flip to night, and then you could flip it back to day, and then return or exile another creature. Like this is a little bit complex, but I have a feeling there's going to be some game situations where this card single-handedly turns things around by just taking 2 creatures on back-to-back turns. Okay, Toevalara, Dire Overlord, 1 colorless, a red and a green, for a 3/3 legendary creature, human werewolf. Whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Well, that seems pretty awesome. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more werewolves or wolves, it becomes night. Then transform any number of humans or werewolves you control. And this is day-bound itself. So this is okay. So the first half, just starting out, is actually pretty sweet, right? All your werewolves and wolves effectively get to just have the Toski ability. Hit your opponent, draw a card. But then you get your choice of transforming any of the others you want just because you have a bunch of wolves out. So that's kind of cool. You get to turn it to night and then transform whatever you want. So that's pretty cool. Then when you transform, you have the backside, which is Toevalara the Midnight Scourge. Legendary creature werewolf, 4/4, so it does get a little bit bigger. Whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So it keeps that ability on both sides. And then you have pay X red green, target werewolf or wolf you control gets plus X plus 0 and gains trample until end of turn. Oh, so that's just like the land from the old Innistrad. I don't know why. I have it in my commander deck. I don't know why I was forget about it. But yeah, so this is actually pretty cool. You get a neat trample ability. You get to keep drawing cards. You get a sizable body for the cost. Yeah, this is all around good. Like, even if you didn't have a lot of werewolves or wolves in the deck and you just had a handful, this would probably still be useful. All right, Enduring Angel, 2 colorless, white, 3/3, flying, double strike. You have hexproof. That's pretty good for 5 mana. If your life total would be reduced to 0 or less, you instead transform Enduring Angel and your life total becomes 3. Then, if Enduring Angel didn't transform this way, you lose the game. Well, that's weird. All right, so if our life total becomes 0 or less, we transform it, we don't lose the game. Life total becomes 3. Then if it didn't transform this way... Oh, okay, I guess if there's some way to stop you from transforming, because there's probably some options like that, then you would just lose the game. I guess it's worded that way to just keep you from any type of trickery that would just keep it from flipping so you don't actually end up infinite in a can't lose situation. So that actually makes a little bit of sense. All right. The backside, after you flip it over, flying, you still have hexproof. It no longer has double strike. Angelic Enforcer's power and toughness are equal to your life total. So it would be a 3/3. Whenever Angelic Enforcer attacks, double your life total. Well, that's pretty interesting as far a way to word that. So you get a 3/3. You get to attack because I'm assuming your opponent attacked you, put your life total lower. Once you attack, if you deal damage, you double your life total. And then okay, all right, I get it. We don't have to deal damage, just attack to double the life total. So that's actually pretty cool. A little bit pricey, but it's neat. I could see where it belongs into a few different decks. So this could be a pretty interesting one to try out. And then this was one of the first cards that got previewed yesterday that had everybody talking because, well, Arlen Cord is from Innistrad and the original werewolf planeswalker that everybody likes. So here we are, Arlen, the Pack's Hope, 2 colorless, red and green, legendary planeswalker, daybound. So lots going on with this card. So you have +1 until your next turn. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So that's actually pretty cool as a +1, right? Everything gets flash, and you get to give it a +1/+1 when it comes on play. So really nice. Then -3, create 2 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. So that's actually not bad either, right? You could pay 4, put it into play, make 2 2/2s, so at least can protect itself, block some things, or assist in blocking alongside some other creatures you played over the first 3 turns. So that much I actually like. Then we have the backside, which is Arlen the Moon's Fury. Nightbound, and +2, add a green and red. So that's actually neat, just to advance your mana. And then until end of turn, Arlen the Moon's Fury becomes a 5/5 werewolf creature with trample, indestructible, and haste. Not sure why it needs haste, but it has haste. So it does have 4 loyalty, so that's a reasonable number. It's useful in the sense that it can make 2 creatures. You may even need just the 2 creatures for something other than blocking. If it lives, then now your stuff has flash, which is pretty neat, which also allows you to kind of shape the turns, right? That if you're concerned about how many spells are getting played on the opponent's turn or your turn to decide if you want something day or night, this actually kind of helps you manipulate that a little bit, which is pretty cool. And then the backside, if they don't do anything and you just want the mana, you can just go right up to 6 on the next turn, and that's pretty interesting too. So both sides of this actually have some uses. I don't know how popular this will be, but stands to reason that it could be very good. All right, that's it. Quick and simple for day 1 of previews of Innistad Midnight Hunt. We will try to continue these throughout the preview season, but let me know down below which of these today actually got the most attention from you. What colors are you really favoring? Is there something you're hoping to see that we haven't seen yet in the set? I think all of those would be interesting bits of conversation. Please like, subscribe, follow, support, all the good stuff here, right here on my channel and everywhere else that you're watching this. And that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.